For circles, okay, it's just kind of like what we did yesterday. So this one, I'm going to write this down so you got the definition, because remember we're going to have a matching section on the test. The set of all points equidistant from a point called the center. And I think you guys probably did this definition or went over this definition in geometry as well. Yeah, I don't think you guys, did you guys do ellipses in geometry?
I think so.
I don't think you did. I think you did circles. You didn't do parabolas.
You got circles.
What?
You got circles.
You graph circles?
Arcs.
Triangle. Is it always opposite?
Why triangles?
Opposite sign, what do you mean?
Because it's negative in
cosine.
this parentheses.
In the parentheses, it's always opposite.
Tool things are like. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so thinking about the definition here, really it's not, it's kind of a really fancy way to say a circle because we got the equidistant in there. But if you think you got a center point like that, a circle goes around it. I could pick any point on my circle and that's going to be the same distance from the center. Okay, that's pretty much what that definition is saying. So if you see center, you should recognize that that's going to be a circle. Okay? So then a little extra footnote there. The distance between the center and any point of a circle, or the distance between the center and any point on the circle is the radius. You guys remember radius, right? You also remember diameter, right? Okay, so distance between the center and any point on the circle is the radius. I don't know if you know it already. But you had the two equations on your sheet there. I'm going to write the two equations on the board here quick. Your one equation was this. Okay? That's for a circle that has a center at the radius. Or a center at the origin, sorry. Center at the radius, that doesn't make sense. Center at the origin, because there's nothing added with the x and there's nothing added with the y. Or subtracted. So if we do this one, that equation, that's actually where it could be shifted one way or the other. Because remember the h and the k, what that does with your parabola is that moves your vertex. So what the h and the k here are going to do, they're going to move your center. Alright? So we're going to start off with one here. So you want to write this one in that top right-hand box on your note sheet. So we got x squared plus y squared equals 9/4. What's that?
Where do you want us to write that?
That box in the top right-hand corner. What'd you say? No. You don't need a protractor. Well, I suppose I could give you a protractor to draw these. I just do them freehand. So is this one being shifted anywhere? Is there anything plus or minus inside with the x?
Yeah.
No. So your center, I'm going to write out center. Your center is 0, 0. So I would draw a point for your center. Now, in your equation, what is on the right-hand side? What's the letter? R squared, right? What do you think R stands for when we're talking about circles? Radius. So if this is R squared, 9/4 is my R squared, how do I find what my radius is? Not square root it, right. So if 9/4 equals R squared, you take the square root of both of those, so R is 3/2. So R, your radius is 3/2. So to graph that, really what is that as a decimal when I graph it? What's 3/2? 1.5, right? So to graph it, I do 1.5 in all directions, and then I just kind of connect the dots. So 1.5 here, 1.5 here, 1.5 here, 1.5 there. And then you just draw your circle around the dots. That's it.
That almost
Okay. Yep, pretty much. We're going to have to spend a little bit of time to find the equation. Pretty much. So that's one with the center point of the origin. Okay? You just take the square root of the number on the right, and that gives you your radius. Next one. So this looks a little different. This one looks a little worse. It's not bad though. So put this one in your second box down. You got to figure that out. Next one's going to go in the bottom box. So what can I do to this equation to make it look like the equation of a circle? Multiply by 2. Good. Because, well, why do you want to multiply by 2? Right, it eliminates my fractions. So if I take everything times 2, the whole thing, so remember I did the big parentheses, 2 on the outside, that cancels here, so I get x minus 3 squared, and I get y plus 2 squared equals 8. You have to multiply everything in the equation. Now it looks like a circle. What's that? We're not square rooting, oh, they just have square root of 8? We're just going to have like 2 square root 2. You have to use your calculator. So where's my center on this one now? 3, negative 2. The 8 is your radius. It's going to tell you your radius. Okay, so to find our center, you got to look here and here. Remember that you think opposite the stuff in the parentheses. So it'd be 3, negative 2. That's your center point. And our radius. Okay, that one's going to be a little bit harder to see because it doesn't work out perfect, but it's not always going to work out perfect. Okay, your radius. Take the square root of that, so square root of 8. And when you're actually writing out your answer, I want you to write it as a simplified square root. So this would be 2 square root 2. But you're going to have to put it in your calculator to actually get the decimal so you can multiply, or so you can draw your circle. So square root of 8, you do that, gives you 2.83. Okay? We're going to use that for graphing it. So you're going to draw your center point at 3, negative 2. So that's boom, 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 right there. That's my center. And then from there, you go 2.8 in all directions. So 2.8 that way, 2.8 this way, 2.8 that way, and 2.8 that way. And then you just draw your circle.
Was it 2 at the bottom?
What?
2 at the bottom.
How do we get it to cancel out?
Oh.
You multiply everything by 2 out front. Okay? Not too bad again? Hard. Kind of hard.
Is that it?
We got one more. Yes?
How come when you multiply all by 2, then top does it multiply by 2?
Because it's really multiplying by 2 over 1. Right? When you multiply by fractions, you cross cancel first. So, on that first one, like if you took this through, so this is multiplying in the first one. So remember I did it like this last week. It's like 2 over 1.
Yeah, I got it.
Cross cancel, boom, boom. And then you move to the next one, cross cancel. Okay? Another one right here. So this is the one that gets a little bit more difficult. I don't think the last one was too bad. This one isn't terrible. Once you see how to do it one way, you know how to do it. So x squared plus y squared plus 4x plus or equals 5. That's the third one that we're going to graph. Okay, and then after we're done graphing this one, you're going to add a little bit more notes on your notebook paper that you used for your parabola earlier, because there's one more problem that we're doing. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of take you guys through this one. So this is where we're going to have to use completing the square to actually figure out what our equation is going to be. So first thing you want to do is we want to group the x's together. Alright? That's the first thing we want to do. We want to put the x's close to each other. Okay, after that, then I'm going to treat this. Alright, so if I had, let's see if I can do this. If I had this, oh, it's not letting me do it. Morgan, you've been gone for like 15. Oh wait, you left for your appointment.
I was talking to Mr. or not Mr. Henry, Mr. Felix.
I thought you left early. I thought you were going to leave early and come back.
No, I haven't talked to Mr. Felix.
All right. From here, gotcha. You want to group the x squared and the 4x like a completing the square. Okay? So we're just leaving a space there because we're going to complete the square with that and figure out what we can actually add to make it work out nice. What'd you say? No, it's not -5. Could you take square, or you take half of that, put it in parentheses below. Okay, so from here we're kind of completing the square, but we're going to keep that y squared over there right in the middle. So take half of that, put it in parentheses below, square it. That's what you're adding to both sides. No? Don't follow?
No.
Let's go back.
Thanks for telling me how that was bad.
Alright, do you guys follow how I got to here? Okay? Antonio, listen. You group the x's together, and then we have x squared plus 4x, and now we're going to treat just that piece like a completing the square. Okay? I can do that. You can work with part of it because when you complete the square, you add the same thing to both sides. So here, if we're looking at just this left-hand side, okay, if I wanted, this is what I was going to do. It'll work for me. Get rid of that. That's what we did for our bell ringer. Okay, if we didn't have that y squared in there, we completed the square like that, right? So from there, you do half of that, put it in parentheses below, and this, you square that, and that's what you're adding to both sides. No, half of 4. You take half of 4, which is 2, and then you square it. That's what goes up here. 2 squared is 4. Right? And then you just rewrite everything you have left. So we got that y squared there. So plus y squared equals 9. From there we got the equation of a circle. Yes?
Hey, can I come in after so you can teach me this?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take my test now.
So what's my center for this circle?
Is it
-2, 0, because there's nothing with the y, so it's a 0. So it's -2, 0. Your radius, take the square root of that, 3. So when we graph it, we go to -2, and we go 3 in all directions. And then you just graph your circle from there. Okay? That's the last of the graphing. You could have 1 or 2 like that. I know there's worksheets later on that have a couple like that. Maybe 4 like that later on. Alright? But you have to kind of think of it just like a normal completing the square problem. That would be like that. Okay? And then we just tack the y squared back in there later. Okay? So, back to your notebook paper, or if you want to put this on that sheet somewhere, you can. I think this is the last problem that we're doing. Because I'm not going to have you guys practice any other ones after this. So, copy this down. You can abbreviate it. Okay, you're trying to find a circle with origin as your center and 2, -5 as a point on the circle.
I go to the bathroom.
Can you wait a little bit? Because you were down there already.
No, I didn't think about it. I was trying to.
And did you go to the bathroom earlier?
Huh?
Did you go to the bathroom once already?
No, I took my test and then I went to the outfit.
And not a perfect circle. Good enough. So this is really what we're trying to find here. We're trying to find the equation of that circle that we don't know. All right, we do know that we got a center of 0, 0, and we have a point on the circle of 2, -5. So that's this point down here, 2, -5. How would I find the equation of the circle? Yes. Yes, we need to find the distance between our center and that point. Okay? So we know this, center of 0, 0. Radius, we don't know. But we can find that by finding the distance from here to here, because that is our radius, right? So we got to use distance formula. Right, so our distance formula is this again. We got x2 minus x1, square it, plus y2 minus y1, square it, and we use the 2 points that we got there. We got 0, 0, and 2, -5. Right, if you remember the example from the bell ringer, you can just do 2 squared, 5 squared, add them together, take the square root. 29. Right, because it's 0 minus 2. Right, it's -5 squared, but that's 25 still. So that's 4 plus 25, square root of 29. Can you simplify that at all? No. So, this is square root of 29. When you put it into your equation, what is on the right hand of the equation? R squared. What's the square root of 29 squared? Just 29, right? So this is your equation. We got x squared plus y squared equals 29. That's the equation of your circle. And boom.
How did we get the?
The x squared and the y squared are part of the equation, the formula. That was the first part that you missed. Okay, since your center is 0, 0, we're not shifting left or right at all. So it's just going to be an x squared and a y squared. Find your distance from your center to the point on your circle. That gives you your radius, which is that. Square your radius. That goes in your equation. And that's it. Okay, questions on this one? Circle's good, not as bad as yesterday?
Do you always write x squared plus y squared?
If it's 0, 0 for your center point. Like if it's not, if it says that your center is the origin, then yeah, it's just x squared plus y squared.
So the origin is 0, 0.
Yes.
Oh,
It could tell you that your center point is here. It could say that your center is like -2, 3, but then that means that's just going to be where you have to change this a little bit. Rather than using 0, 0, you'd like use 2, -3, or whatever it
But
is.
the x squared plus y squared doesn't change.
They would be, then you'd have to plug it into that second formula. It's like x minus h squared, y minus k squared.
Here, I'll state the
Zeros, like,
I know.